Well, Alf, we've got a shaky economy, but we've got a booming sports card market. So what gives? We're going to talk about a variety of different angles in today's episode of the Sports Card Dad. First, we've got to say thanks to today's video sponsor, Pristine Auction. If you want to consign with Pristine, they've got a special deal for you. Just mention the Sports Card Dad sent you. They will give you a special consignment deal. And if you want to buy something, your first victory over there, SCD code gives you $25 off that first auction victory. Make sure to use SCD code and get $25 off over at Pristine Auctions. PSA, you're a first-time submitter or you got a friend that's never submitted, SCD25 code at the shipping and billing screen means $25 off that first PSA order. One card minimum to try out PSA, and it's $25 off with the SCD25 code. SlabMags, I'm one of the only ones left. The last Highlander of SlabMags affiliates. Sports Card Dad code, 10% off. Color match your best cards and get the UV protection to protect the surface as well as autograph cards. Sports Card Dad promo code at slabmags.com. All right, if we look over at traditional investments, a lot of fear selling in the stock market. Yes, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, they all took a hit there last week, and it's all the rage in the news. This is kind of what happens. It hits a news cycle, everybody gets panicked, and you see panic selling. We're going to come back to this later, but Collect.com put out a recent article that talked about how in the month of March, $300 million were spent on eBay. Approximately $300 million were spent on eBay on sports cards, on trading cards. That is comparable, believe it or not, it is comparable to height 2021 pricing. Wrap your head around that a little bit, because think about where pricing was when we go back to first quarter of 2021, where stuff was going. I mean, there's cards that have corrected back down, but literally had pricing in the first quarter of 2021 that was double, triple, sometimes 4 or 5 times what it was today. And a lot of that stuff has corrected back down more towards either pre-pandemic pricing, or it's found a new plateau there, or it's found kind of a new floor there that's above where it was, of course, in 2019 and 2020. $871 million, according to a Sports Collectors Daily article going back in time, $871 million on eBay in that first quarter of 2021. If you average that out, it's about $300 million. Now, of course, the data tools, they not only wrap in eBay data, but they're also bringing in Fanatics Collect deals and Golden and that sort of a thing. But even still, even with the amount of money that a Golden sells, it is dwarfed by eBay. We're talking like 10x the sales. eBay does way more than any other auction house on planet Earth still. eBay is where it's at buying and selling sports cards. So, to be honest, that kind of surprised me a little bit. I know that the sports card hobby is booming, that there's no doubt about that at all. But if you told me that online sales in first quarter of 2025 are the same as they were in 2021, when we had literally like the dumb money flying at everything, including my own dumb money for that matter. I mean, that's wild to think about. It's absolutely wild. Those continue to boom. There's a big Strongsville show coming up this weekend. My Raleigh card show is now doing more shows here locally. And so when we talk about these sales online, these eBay sales and auction house sales, we're not even talking about all the transactions that are done in person at shows every weekend. And these shows are absolutely jam-packed. Card stores are busier than ever. Gone are the days where there's card stores, just, people sitting around in the card store trying to figure out what they're doing, what they're going to do, twiddling their thumbs and so forth. Card stores slammed. Card shows slammed. Trade nights after the card shows are slammed. There's never been more interest, again, going back in time, even to 1990, there's never been more interest in trading cards and collectibles as a whole than there is right now in 2025. A lot of this, of course, is the middle-aged guys like myself. It's the midlife crisis, as I joke about it being, but it's also just looking back to earlier days, childhood days, where life was just way more simple, where not only was there not AI or ChatGPT, there wasn't even the internet. Hell, there wasn't even cable television in my house. We're talking like 3 or 4 channels, the main channels, and that was it. I played outside like 20 out of the 24 hours a day. Okay, I'm lying. The Nintendo Entertainment System kind of changed all that. I was inside to play Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt and all that goodness. Ghosts and Goblins. That was a great game. What happens now? We have now hit kind of an inflection point, it feels like. We've got tariffs that are going on globally. What are going to be the short-term impacts or the long-term impacts? Is it a short-term game plan? Is it a long-term game plan? Governments are going to have to figure this out. Does it have a huge effect on the card space? Well, we have seen announcements from ComC here recently. Ship My Cards, I believe, had an announcement that came out. PSA has made announcements around submissions and which countries are able to submit right now and that sort of a thing. There are some challenges for sure. If you're in the United States, it feels like there's less challenges, but we'll have to see how this plays out. Supplies coming from other countries and that sort of thing. Is it going to affect pricing for supplies or materials or, any of this stuff? Printing, does it change printing? I don't know. I think that a lot of the printing, as far as the manufacturers are concerned, is within the United States, but I believe I could be wrong that Panini was printing outside of the US, maybe like Mexico or somewhere. I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, will we see delays, supply chain delays? Will we see increased costs? It's all going to shake out here. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen here over the next 90 days in particular. What are going to be people's buying habits? Are people going to slow down a little bit? We're coming up to the National at the end of July. It's fast approaching. And I'm actually going to speak on kind of my own strategy right now as I'm kind of looking at what's happening in the universe and trying to figure out where I'm going to put my money. As always, not financial advice. Do your own thing. Of course, this is just one man's opinion on what I'm doing within my own family. But you all have to figure out what you're going to do. Everyone's going to have their own different strategy and how they're going to attack this. For one, I just made a pretty big purchase. I wanted to complete out. There's 4 main Michael Jordan cards in that 84-star set. I have 3 out of the 4 of them. I've got the Jordan Star 101. I've got the Olympic card, and I've got the Rookie of the Year. I wanted to finish out and get that Court Kings. It's that oversized CK26 that has been eluding me, but I was able to make a deal, get a good price on a copy that I should have delivered to me today. That was a pretty significant purchase for me. So for me, big purchases, not doing any more big purchases until we get over to the National. So I'm really kind of treating the next 90 days as, all right, regroup, recharge the funds. As far as collectibles are concerned, I want to just recharge the funds and I want to head into the National, maybe have a few bucks to be able to buy something cool over at the National. So I made an exception as well. There's a card that, not an inexpensive card, but it's not a huge card. It was an Alvin Kamara 2017. It's the Vertex Capstones. These are player worn. A lot of them are game used. I just love the look of these cards, but I just bought this on eBay, was able to make a deal on it. It's his rookie season, and it also has a really clean autograph on it. So I was like, okay, cool. I've got the Breeze version of this card from 2017. I can kind of pair them together. And so I'll make exceptions here and there for that sort of a stuff, but it's going to be very limited, my buying for collectibles. I made a few big buys here over the last few months, and I just want to kind of chill, recharge, and get ready as we head out into the National. And also just see, will there be any sort of pricing corrections anywhere? Because I collect not only sports cards, non-sports cards, I collect graded comic books. I just picked up another copy of Giant Size X-Men 1 from SHAKY's Auctions and a 9.4 upgraded. I have an 8.5 of that. I'm still trying to decide if I want to sell the 8.5 or just keep the 8.5 and the 9.4. I also like graded action figures. I like graded video games. So it's the variety of 80s, 90s nostalgia things that I really enjoy buying. And so I've got to make some decisions. But the next 90 days, no big purchases. Let's just recharge. And I'm also looking at the fact that, look, if the S&P 500 and some of these huge companies, if they're going to tank in price based on fear selling, if there's going to be a big sell-off, I want to buy into that sell-off. And so that's what we've been doing, actually. We just moved a chunk of money over to our individual brokerage account to buy in on some of this stuff. Look, everyone always says it, but nobody typically does it. And it's not timing the market. Of course, we've got retirement accounts that continue to buy into all this stuff all the time. But when there is a big sell-off, if you look back in time, the pandemic was a pretty good example of this. Early 2020, there was a pretty decent sized stock sell-off. A lot of people bought in lower, because those are the opportunities. It's, buying in at the lower price point, especially when, the S&P, the NASDAQ, they've been just going up for years and years and years, partially artificially inflated for sure, but it doesn't feel like there's ever any real good buying opportunities when you're always kind of buying at new highs, whether that's a collectible, whether that's a piece of real estate, or whether that's a stock. It just means that when you do have a pullback, when you have fear selling, but nothing has changed as far as company revenues, nothing has changed as far as earnings, it's just literally just panic selling. That is an opportunity, in my opinion. I'm certainly not alone in this opinion, and so that's where we're kind of looking to, okay, let's be smart and try to buy at a discount if there are discounts available, whether that's just putting more money into an index or if there's some individual companies that we like and we're like, man, this looks like a good price, we're going to do that. And it also looks like Warren Buffett wins again. The guy pulls out of markets, puts huge money on the sidelines. Warren Buffett's never had so much cash sitting on the sidelines. with anticipating something like this happening, or just feeling like, you know what, there's not a lot of good buys out there. Well, all of a sudden, it looks like there are better buys than there were last week. So we'll have to follow this along. What are you going to do here over the next few months? Does it affect anything for you and your family? The one thing that I think that hobbyists are really good at, and what's so great about the sports card hobby / market as a whole, is you can pull back. There's cards at every single price point. So maybe you're making some high-end buys, but you can also pull back and say, you know what, for the time being, I'm just going to collect, for me, 89 score football cards. I'm going to collect some of the sets. I'm going to buy an 88 Topps football set in a binder. You guys know that I love the sets in binders. I like to just flip through and look at those. I get a lot of joy, a lot of the nostalgia from doing that. And that's literally a $40, $50, $60 buy on eBay pretty much all day to get these complete sets in a binder. It doesn't break the bank. I can still enjoy my hobby. The other part is just overall hobby commentary, talking with your friends about different strategies on cards. And so enjoying camaraderie that you already have with buddies in the hobby. And then also, this is going to sound like kind of common sense, but I need to do a better job of this, enjoying what I already have. I'll say it again for the people in the back. Enjoying what I already have. I already have a great collection. Many of you already have a great collection. There's always, I feel like, a pressure to keep on adding to the collection, but sometimes it doesn't hurt. You know, the cards will be there for the most part. Granted, maybe you have something in your mind where it's like, hey, look, I'm not buying for the next few months, but if this particular card pops up, then I'm going to buy that because I haven't seen one in 2 years for sale. Fine. That makes sense. And that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm not planning to make any buys. There's a few cards out there that I rarely ever see. One of them I've never seen. I've never actually seen it for sale. If that pops up, then maybe, I make a play on it. But a lot of this stuff, it'll be there. It'll be there in a month. It'll be there in 2 months. It'll be there in 3 months. It'll be there in a year. That's what's great about our hobby. We have 100+ years of cards to look at, and there's always another cool card to add to the collection. And same with new product. Oh, you're really excited about that new product coming out? Well, guess what? That new product in the singles, it'll be here in 3 months. It'll be here in 6 months. It'll be here in a year. So hobbyists are always very good at adapting to the times. Also, we can't really forget that this hobby and a lot of collectibles hobbies, not just sports cards, trading cards, it's a release from everyday life. So what you actually might see is, oh man, things are going a little crazy in the world. You might see more attendance at card shows, more attendance at card shops, more buying, whether that's low end, mid end, high end on eBay, because it's simply just a release, just to get away from, hey, I don't want to watch the news. I just want to enjoy my hobby, and I'm going to focus in. I'm going to put little blinders on and just focus on what I enjoy. All right, friends, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.